You've entered a two-part training. Each part contains a new challenge. Complete them both to prove your mastery and earn the Graphing Data Badge. What pattern do you notice between the x values and the y values in this graph? Write 2 rules based on the pattern, one for the x values and one for the y values. Study well. The path to mastery begins now.
Welcome back, Math Masters! I have a feeling we'll need our knowledge of ordered pairs to conquer today's challenge. Have your guided notes ready? Training starts now. Mia and I each graphed a different set of data on our coordinate planes. Here's mine, and here's hers. What do you notice about the points on each graph? The points on my graph are all scattered around randomly, kind of making a cloud. But the points on Mia's graph are neat and orderly, forming a diagonal line. That's because Mia's data has a pattern. A pattern is a sequence of shapes, numbers, or designs that follows a predictable rule. So data that has a pattern forms graphs that make nice, neat lines like Mia's. Let's figure out what exactly the pattern is. We'll put on our detective hats and examine the x values and y values to determine the pattern.
Here's a table that goes with Mia's graph. We have a row for each point and a column for their x values, y values, and ordered pairs. To determine the pattern, we ask ourselves, what's the change between each row? So for the x values, what's the change between the first x, 2, and the second x, 4? We're going up, so it's addition. 2 plus what equals 4? 2 plus 2 equals 4. Let's jot down a little plus 2 between the 2 and 4. Keep going with the second and third rows. How can we get from 4 to 6? Well, 4 plus what is 6? 4 plus 2 is 6. Write down a plus 2. Perhaps that's the pattern? It must be true for every single x value if it is, so keep testing all the way down. Is 6 plus 2 8? Yes, it is. And does 8 plus 2 equal 10? It sure does. So our pattern for the x values is adding 2 every time. Do the y values also increase by 2? No. 1 plus 2 is not 5, and 5 plus 2 is not 9. That means the y values don't follow the same pattern as the x values. Why don't you take a closer look at the y values and see if you can identify a pattern? Remember, we'll start with 1 and 5. We go from 1 to 5, so we're going up, which means addition again. But up by how many? 1 plus what equals 5? 1 plus 4 equals 5. Is that true for the next 2 numbers? Does 5 plus 4 equal 9? Yes, it does. And that holds true all the way down the table. If you add 4 to one row, you get the answer in the next row. That means the pattern for the y values is adding 4 every time.
Now that we've identified the pattern, we can write a rule to describe it. A rule is a step or direction you follow each time to keep the pattern going. We'll write our rules like this. For the blank values, start at blank and add blank each time. Let me show you what I mean with the first pattern we found. For the x values, start at 2 and add 2 each time. Why don't you try writing out the rule for the y's? Here's the y rule. For the y values, start at 1 and add 4 each time. Now anyone can follow the rule to keep the pattern going. Your challenge still awaits. What pattern do you notice between the x values and the y values in this graph? Write 2 rules based on the pattern, one for the x values and one for the y values. Answer these questions in your guided notes now.
Notice that the points on the graph form a straight line. That confirms they follow a pattern. To figure out what the pattern is, we start with the first 2 x values, from 1 to 4. Are we going up or down? Up, so it's addition. 1 plus what is 4? 1 plus 3 is 4. Let's look at the next 2 numbers. 4 plus what equals 7? 4 plus 3 equals 7. So it's seeming like plus 3 is the pattern, but we need to make sure it continues all the way down the table. Is 7 plus 3 10? Yes. And is 10 plus 3 13? It sure is. So the pattern for the x values is adding 3 every time. How about the y values? Looking at 3 and 4, we're going up again. But by how many this time? We're going up by 1 because 3 plus 1 equals 4. For the next rows, we have 4 and 5. Is 4 plus 1 5? It sure is. Make sure plus 1 works all the way down the chart. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 1 is 7. So, yes, the pattern for the y values is adding 1 every row. So, that answers the first question. What about the second question? How do we write the rules? We'd say something like, for the x values, start at 1 and add 3 each time. And for the y values, start at 3 and add 1 each time.
So, what have we learned today? We learned that we find the pattern for the x and y values by identifying how they change from row to row. And to write a rule, you say, for the blank values, start at blank and add blank each time. Your training is off to a strong start, but the lesson is not yet complete. Be sure to complete the practice questions that go with this lesson to practice identifying patterns and writing rules. Return for part 2 to face your next challenge and finish earning the Graphing Data Badge. And remember, Math Masters, in math, as in training, progress comes with patience and practice.